Mad interesting to me. I was about to go to sleep and this just woke me up. Anyways, I wanted to look at this right here. This post on Instagram, it says, if every Muslim teacher should, it says every Muslim teacher should lead. Sorry, y'all. Every Muslim teacher should lead their class in prayer. Watch how fast that shit will be illegal. So, a little while ago, the Supreme Court made it legal, for you to, because somebody was mad about it and it ended up all the way up at the Supreme Court. And so the Supreme Court said it's okay. It was a coach or something. And so it's like the coaches can pray with the team. It's perfectly fine, but the problem with that is the separation of church and state. So, but I don't think y'all see it. But I'm gonna get more into the Supreme Court because that's what I want to talk about today. But this right here, it says dozens of African immigrants from Morocco beaten to death, treated like animals. Why is Spanish media silent on this? It says,
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry. Go ahead, but continue. Yeah.
yeah, Melilak massacre. This is 2022, and Africans' life do not matter to you all. This is pure evil, all because of our race. So heartbreaking. So the previous one I showed while you was gone was, what the fuck was it? Oh, the
Well,
talking about the Muslims praying. If a Muslim prayed, if a Muslim decided to lead his team or coach or class or whatever in prayer, they would flip that law right back to where it was before.
look, I want to say this, and we can take it wherever you want from there, but to the white people, Hispanics, or different people, who the non-black people who consider themselves to be good people, like, y'all really need to be careful about how y'all move, because you know there's a lot of energy that's out there that's here to correct all of the bad. And it's, look, there's a lot of stuff that might happen through black people or whatever. And I know a lot of people are fearful of some of these things because they know exactly what I'm saying is true. But you got to be careful about how you're treating people, because that might be the determining factors on whether you deserve to be here or not. So, um, you can continue. Some people, maybe they come too far to turn back. They just evil at the core. But if you're good, you need to work on being good more often, and not allowing certain things to just play out just because like, if you're good, stand on that. Be good, and stand up for good. But this shit that he's talking about in Africa, like the
Oh, you saw
like
the post before? You heard about it?
yeah, I had heard about it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
the shit that's
fucking
going.
that shit is and it's went viral. So and it's super emotional. Like that
Well,
shit right there.
these are some of the people that was exiting from the war area from the whole Ukraine, Russia. Some of these people that was able to get away, getting through Poland, and these people that's like throughout all this time that's making it through, and then they find a way to get into out of that war zone. And you know there's these some of these people, they're like they want to see Black Death, like they have
It's
this.
some of the same people from the clip I was playing last night. I think it was whatever day we was talking about immigration and the people who died in that truck and stuff. And I
Yeah.
showed some people at at that border, and these look like the same people. I ain't gonna lie, the same, and that I'm not gonna play any of that clips and I already changed the slide because that shit is
Well,
fucking super ass
well,
emotional and horrible as
it,
fuck.
it, it is, but there's something that should be talked about, because you gotta, when you look at the spirit of people's actions, because even like the people who, you know, like they chasing down to find out where these people are, to be able to capture on video, to talk shit about them trying to save their own lives, which they would do if they were in the same position. Like, when because I don't think enough people really think about the fact of, if this was me, what would I do? Like, that's like, not what Jesus would do. If this was me, what would I do? is probably a better question for some people because they have a hard time of even thinking in that fashion. They can, if they can almost imagine, but possibly have a better chance of seeing it if they put themselves in that position. But bro, like these are
And
people that's trying to save their lives, their families' lives, and you want to capture them on video, and then you just like. Well, I don't know what's gonna happen to these people, but I was like, well, damn, you the one that's helping like track them down, like you acting like a fucking slave catcher and you getting paid. It's like, and I guess they are getting paid from, having the shit on video or content, going through whatever they can to have this content. Like, bro, like, look, this is real life and y'all are treating these people as if they're just
not
filthy,
human, like they're
filthy
animals.
animal. Yeah.
And that's what that video made me feel, because it's like, and that's what it brings it back to, because and we were talking about perspective and trying to imagine looking at things from somebody else's perspective. How can you imagine, like, you absolutely have to think that these people aren't like you at all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be able to do these kind of things. So, but where do you get
Cause,
that
cause,
from
cause it,
though?
cause, 'cause it very well could be on the shoe on the other foot. Like, I mean, it very well can get there where the world is looking at your kind as the animal, the beast, and just like what this person doesn't deserve to live because of whatever narrative that has been put into the minds of people. So, like, you know, you never know. You or your children could live the same thing just because of the way you might be seeing it now.
And I don't see how people can't see that. I really don't. Like, you let them come at any group. Well, who's to say they're not going to come for your group next? Like, everybody feels like they're impervious. Everybody feels like their group won't be the group that be, turned on. Bruh, bruh. I don't care what
No,
group you in.
bro.
Like,
What I know in this government, everybody's head is up for examining. Like you might lose your neck. Anybody can lose their neck these days. Especially the atmosphere that we've been living in and seeing here. And I mean, it's pretty much, I guess I would say, probably what's going on across the world. Um, just based on some of the examples we do see, because this is like, bro, this is insane. Like, actually, a lot of the stuff that we see in somewhere else might be already to the extent that we're coming to in America. Like, a lot of people don't think that Russia, China, or oh no, we're too big and tough before somebody will try that, bro. All right, I
whatever,
mean, you
man.
keep
The United
you
States
keep
hasn't even been around that long. You know what I'm saying? Look
man,
how strong Rome was. I mean, what was the Indian one? It was like, I think they were Hindus or whatever. Like the Turks. I'm getting it all mixed up, but these are big, huge, major ass kingdoms, bro, and they went away. Why do United States people think that it can't happen?
bro. Like, they're probably one of the youngest countries that exists. Like, I mean, there's a few that has repatriated or, like, come up with some new stuff. Their power, power structures have changed or whatever. I mean, for like a country that's only been around for, what is it, 200? Let's see, from 1776 to 19. That's 200. Shoot, I mean, we're looking at 250. It's less than 300 years. A lot of civilizations. Let's just look at China. The actual year that China, because they use the 2000, the Gregorian calendar, but we're talking about 15,000 years. You know what I'm saying? That they're looking at. They've had a civilization that's, yeah, they've had these ups and downs, but like they still existed. We were Maya. We were like, I mean, this country, like it's gone and come, but this is the only time where we've been occupied uh, the way we have in a long time, because our time would be counting in the same manner as China. Our indigenous calendar matches up more with China, but however, I mean, even just the Mayans alone lasted what 600-700 years easy. When the Moors were in Spain, they were there for like 700-800 years. Like, bro, America's fallen already. But that's mostly because of the injustices that they have embedded in their practices. Like, I mean, you can, if you choose to do right, you have a better chance of lasting longer. But when from the beginning, your intent is to have, a low, treat certain, have different classes and treat some like trash and others, and like, and within it all, you don't even know where you stand anymore because, you know, you say you're one thing, but you're totally something different.
What up, dudes? How you feel?
Man, pretty good, bro.
Hey,
Deuce.
Made it back in town, man. How y'all doing?
all
Oh,
right.
you at home?
Yeah, man, just made it here, bro. About to get
Oh,
here.
Okay.
well, I
Had
Good
appreciate
seven
you.
deal.
hours, 7 hours on my 70 when I started, and I made it all the way back from Malvern, Arkansas, with like
Oh,
15
wow.
minutes left on my 70-hour clock for the week.
Malvern
Mm-hmm.
coming off of
Yeah.
I-30.
Off of I-30, exit 97.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty familiar with that. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming
You
on
weren't.
and giving us time, bro.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
He
you're
wasn't
welcome.
playing.
Y'all welcome. You're welcome.
Let me ask you, how you feel about people being late and how you feel about people lying?
Uh, Being late, that bothers me. Uh,
He's a
People
truck
lying.
driver. The hell you mean?
Yeah,
He's a truck driver, bro.
being late bothers me, especially when it affects me. Uh, and then I can understand. I mean, no lie is right, but I can understand if and depending on the situation in which you have to tell a lie. But people that just are habitual liars that lie every time they open their mouth, I can't stand them.
I laugh at him.
Yeah, and
See,
how?
especially when people that lie so much they start to believe they own fucking lies.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's so hilarious to me, bro.
Yeah,
you
that's the
know,
shit I don't like.
and that's what we was talking about. So, how do you think that affects communication when people aren't being honest?
Man, well, it affects communication in a lot of ways because if you tell somebody something and they believe in that, and then they go tell the next person, that's just like if you're a manager and you lie to one of your employees, and then the next boss come behind you and asking this employee, well, why the fuck you do that? Well, Chaka told me to do this, and then you go back and say, nah, I didn't. Like,
That'd be some whole ass shit to do right there.
yeah, and it's a big mix up because somebody lied. So lying you know, uh, definitely messes up communication
Well,
and the
look,
ability to communicate.
look. Let's take it to another level because just not just with the communication, but how much does lying throw off the balance of the universe?
Yeah,
Man, I think it throws off the. I think it throws it off a lot, especially when
Yeah.
we get to thinking about Pat President. I had to throw that out there, bro.
well,
Well,
I'm
you
gonna
know
get.
what?
Go ahead.
Which one? Because I've gotten
I'm
accused
talking
like
about current. I'm talking about current right now.
oh, okay, yeah, all right. That's look. You know what? He's my favorite president. He's entertained me more than any other one that's come through that White House.
Bro, I honestly think that's why people watch his speeches is because he's entertaining.
Yeah, it's like how many times? Look, let's count because they had a running count of how many lies Trump told. Let's have a running count of how many times this dude fumbled on his words and can even how long it take for him to finish uh his statement. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
and
they'd be
bro,
watching them and having drinking games and shit. Be like,
man,
how many times is he gonna say this word or certain phrase? Because
Bro.
he uses the
bro,
same phrases.
That's like my
bro, they
son. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, bro.
no. I was just gonna say they probably got they probably got bets going on. Like side bets on how it's gonna go. How many times is how, because like he lies just as much as Trump or if not more because I mean we just they give him a pass. They don't, what I'm saying? That's the only real difference. I mean, we all know forever politicians lie. You know what I'm saying? But, they had to make an example out of Trump because, just like the shit that they doing with this whole January 6th stuff that's on TV. Bro, if you're not going to arrest him, why you wasting my time and your time, this, that, and the other? If he did something so wrong,
But they can't arrest him
charge
because if they arrest him, they gotta arrest Hillary, Obama. They gotta
Yeah,
arrest the Bushes.
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. But like, bro, they didn't even go through all this other bullshit. They didn't try to do no what you call it impeachment on any of them. I mean,
Mhm.
they did some of the stuff with Hillary's, the email stuff or whatever, but it wasn't even as extensive as it should have been.
I don't think it was the Democratic establishment that was going at Trump. I think it was the deep state, like what I'm saying, the CIA, FBI types. You know what I mean?
Well,
He pissed
of
them off.
course. Well, I mean, but those are the people who's at the top of decision making.
Yeah,
Like because of whatever intel that they get is why they make the moves that they make. So I mean, that is the like. I mean, you shit. I mean, we can call it. Separate them. You can call them whatever you call them. I'm. It's they all still working together, and most of them tend to lean like it seems to. I mean, it looks like they lean more to the liberal side, the Democratic side of politics, because, like I said, I mean, they don't do the same thing to, like they didn't do the same thing to Biden or to Obama, Hillary. You know, like they will try to expose, like they even try to handle Bush a little bit, but during that time things weren't, like even with the whole Iraq war, the 9/11, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, they kind of let him slide because I think he's more liberal than, or more of a liberal president than, just because he ran as a Republican. I don't see him really like he's no different than the people that came before him and after him.
yeah, I agree with that. Let me read this caption right here. It says, "Only in Texas, the Texas Education Agency is proposing to the State Board of Education, who decides state curriculum, to change the word slavery to involuntary relocation. The
Oh
SBOE hearings on social studies curriculum are this summer."
man, these people are insane. And I mean, okay, what? Please, I really want them to explain to me what what significance does it make? Like, what do they want to win or obtain from that change? Like, I mean, what's the overall win for everybody by doing that? Because I mean, everybody knows it is. I mean, slavery. I mean, regardless. I mean, I'm gonna teach my kid.
It's like
You know,
workers, indentured workers. They were just workers.
yeah. Well, but see, and look, I'm gonna tell you, we can call because they were, and that part's not a lie. But at the same time, are we going to talk about the kind of brutal things that these workers went through, or is all that stuff going to get crumbled up and burned with all the other books that tells the truth about the past of this country?
Well, they're gonna say, well, workers have been getting treated bad throughout history, and to this day.
Yeah, but because I think they don't want to, like when our, not my kids or hopefully none of y'all kids or whatever, but when other people are experiencing those types of things that they're trying to hide, what, how are they gonna, just because of it's called something different, does that mean that they're not experiencing that same kind of action? Like, I mean, they're still, like, I don't think that they're playing, because I mean, we're still looking at slavery happening today, but they just calling it something different. So I mean, maybe it doesn't matter as much, but because I mean, when they find an injustice, they're still going to point it out. These indentured workers or whatever the hell they want to call it is getting screwed. Like, I mean, it's not going to stop people from acknowledging it for what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, let them do what they do. Look, I want to get to a point to where I can write some, or have, you know, people write books, history, some history books or whatever that will explain or express the sentiments from our point of view. That's what
Yeah.
needs to happen anyway. Like, I mean, can't really get upset about what they doing with their books. I guess that's why I gotta pump my brakes. You know, we we gotta, look, let them do what they do. But I mean, they're already failing. You
Oh
know what I'm
shit.
saying?
I'm missing comments. Damn it. How long have I been missing? Since one. I'm like 15 minutes late. Let me read the old ass comments. I'm sorry, y'all. It's only for first and second grade classes. Damn it, I don't know what we were talking about. I'm one of the guys that's always late, but I also the guy that doesn't go home until the job is done. Believing their own bullshit is the landmark of the purple hair door knocker nose ring crowd these days. Wow. I'm glad he said that because I wouldn't be able to say that. It would be too offensive. It's another one. It says, also, do you consider a difference between bullshitting, lying, and speaking on the. Well, hold on. Also, do you consider a difference between bullshitting, lying, and speaking on thing wrongly they don't really know? If they
Well, I
don't
mean,
really know,
sarcasm.
yeah, if they don't really know, they don't really know. But bullshitting is lying. What you gonna say, Doc?
Well, I think a lot of times the intent is really what we have to pay attention to when it comes to that. Because I mean, if we having a deep, deep dive conversation, we whatever, and you want to, oh, well, I was just bullshitting. Nah, bro, you full of shit. That's what you are. But if we shooting the shit, we drinking the beer, we saying, like, talking shit and telling lies, I can accept it for that. So, I don't want to miss that part of my friendships, because we very much do shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if we talking about some serious shit, and then, you come back, well, hey, what's up with it? Oh man, I was just bullshitting. I'm like, all right, you know what? You full of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's just where I stand with that.
Doc says, I thought it was interesting that politicians and the media stopped talking about the insurrection to encourage people to protest and riot about a legally made federal decision.
Well, look, you know
I
what?
think I think the Supreme Court is on a rampage, and that's kind of what I want to
No,
talk
no,
about.
no,
Because
no, no, no. Look, because look, we gotta really look at the history of this Roe versus Wade. Like, one of the reasons why it really should have been turned over is because it was a lie. The whole, like, the Roe lied on black men in order to be able to use this thing, to push eugenics. You know what I'm saying? Like, to make it a federal law, like, this woman lied on black men.
well, the best way to get America to legalize abortion is say you got raped by a black man, and I got to get
Okay,
rid of this
okay,
baby.
okay, but it's at the same time, say, bro, like, if we're gonna do it, why if we're gonna stand on law and you know truth and principles. What we say, like if they're correcting something that was wrong, like we should be able to appreciate that, because if this is something that's a necessity for someone, like let's hope that let's go out and fight for the women who need it, instead of those who are just trying to use it as contraceptive and wasting souls and spirits behind you know not being as responsible as they should. You know what I'm
Um,
saying? Like,
yeah.
because
Doc said,
I'll go to bat. I'll go to bat and fight for the women. Like, like shit. If this is something that's truly like a health concern, and they trying to do some harm to a woman because that's like this is something she need to do. She went on and did it. The doctor, like, I'd rather fight in that instead of trying to bring back something that was full of shit in the first place.
yeah, we covered that pretty well in the other show. Doc says involuntary relocation first and second grade. I think that was related to the post. He says as long as you don't BS me when it counts. Yeah, well, anytime you BS in, it bothers me. Doc says it is not covered in the Constitution. It by definition states rights. Now the Supreme Court will be able to come in again when state constitutions begin to contradict things or restrict people from moving between states. We're going to see where that goes, and that's why I want to keep an eye on the Supreme Court. And there's a lot of stuff coming down out of there. But I wanted to ask Doc, because he wasn't here. We talked about school choice and how the Supreme Court allows tax dollars to go to these private schools. A lot of times they're religious schools. And a lot of times these same dollars are, basically being taken from the regular schools, the public schools. So then the kids that don't have the money, the parents that don't have the money to put their kids into these private schools, all are stuck back at the regular schools that's crumbling around them. I wanted to get your comments on that because he wasn't here,
Yeah.
and I'm curious to
Um.
know what you think about it.
Yeah. That to me, like, that's you know I that's the I'm gonna leave it up to, like, because I mean really people should be able to choose where they want to send their kids to school. But I mean if there's a better option, because I mean maybe sometimes the public school could be a better option, and you should find out what's really going on there, what changes they might need there. But
Ugh.
I don't know, man. Like it's a lot. I think there's still a lot there, just because I can see where it could be beneficial, but I can also see where it's manipulating.
Remember, we want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley.